works. It actually works. I'm Mike Tigas, and this is, my talk is titled Communicating Securely as a Newsroom. I'm the Knight-Mozilla OpenNews Fellow at ProPublica in New York right now. And I'm also, outside of the world of journalism, I work on an iPhone app called Onion Browser, which is like a implementation of Tor, which is like an anonymity network. And yeah, it's for sale in the App Store, and I'm also a developer of that. I'm not a I'm a hacker in the hacker sense, that I'm a computer programmer, but I'm not, like a cryptographer. I can't explain to you why, how RSA works, or, S boxes and all those crazy encryption terms. What I can tell you is how to kind of think about approaching security as a journalist and as just a regular person who uses the internet. This is, it's a pretty short session, so I can't really, give you everything you need to know. I can't tell you how to protect yourself from the NSA if you're already being targeted. If they're out to get you, you're probably already kind of screwed, right? Who here has considered cybersecurity, thought about it within the past 3 months, as a journalist or as a normal person, online privacy? Before June, had you really considered it as a journalist? I mean, it's kind of become a very big, popular topic. If the NSA is after you, you're probably already going to have issues, But outside of that, before the whole Snowden thing, there have already been, times where the U.S. government and governments around the world have kind of, put pressure on journalists to give up, their sources. The U.S. government has actually apparently secretly, acquired phone records from the Associated Press to try to track down who their anonymous sources were for some, NSA and national security-related stories. So this talk should be, more titled "Thinking About Communicating Securely," because I can't really tell you everything about it, just kind of how to approach it. Threat models are the phrase threat model is, it's a pretty major term in terms of computer security. It's how to approach, the situation. Who's your target? Who are you afraid of? Are you reporting on a big corporation and you're afraid of losing your source inside the corporation who's, telling you about corruption? What if they get in trouble? What happens there? Everyone's circumstances are different. So threat models are kind of the backbone of being able to approach security online. Because if you encrypt everything and really lock everything down, you also make it very inconvenient to use the internet. You make it very hard to be contacted. If all of your email, if you require everyone to not use Skype and to only send you encrypted emails, nobody is going to be able to talk to you. This is a comic from XKCD. Crypto nerds' imagination is that, their laptop is completely secured. It's encrypted. They can't do anything about it. It would take them 100 years to break it with supercomputers. What would actually happen is they would arrest you or find you or something, and they would they would find some way to have you unlock it. I mean, that's the reality of the situation is, computer security only works because the computer has it encrypted. But you as the human being made that encryption happen. You as the human being are the person with the keys to unlock it. So they'll come after you. You're the weakest link, Threat models are hard too if you're trying to be covert. If you're reporting in Syria, having a computer with a ton of encrypted files kind of stands out. If you're sending lots of emails and then suddenly a bunch of your emails to your friend in Syria, if they're suddenly all encrypted, that kind of if the Syrian internet provider sees that they're all encrypted, okay, something's probably happening here between these two people. I mean, they still can kind of see that metadata. So you kind of have to think about not just the messages you're sending, but how are those messages being sent? You stick out in these kinds of ways. Easy things to kind of consider, or passwords. If they don't have to necessarily come after you and drug you and beat you over the head with a wrench. You can what if your password's a password you use everywhere, and so if they just find your Twitter password, is that going to also be your password for your Gmail? Why bother encrypting if everything can be unlocked with the one key that they find? Viruses, Trojans, and phishing emails are actually a extremely viable way for an attacker to get access to a lot of things. If you may have seen, over the past month, the Syrian Electronic Army has been hacking people's, news outlets' Twitter accounts. They hacked Outbrain, which is this big ad network that runs on the Washington Post, on ProPublica, on CNN. Yeah, they hacked the ad network by sending an email to all of the employees of this ad network, and it looked like an email from the CEO or somebody's boss, and it had a link to it sounded like a legitimate request from the boss, and so what would happen is it looked like the login page for their control panel, and so the Syrian Electronic Army, they posted this screenshot later, but they got access to the control panel, and then they just started writing oh, hacked by SEA on the ad runs for Washington Post and CNN. There's a quote that I always come back to from Bruce Schneier, who's a well-known cryptographer. It's that only amateurs attack machines, professionals target people. So I think the most important thing is to know that we as the human beings are the weak link here. So easy fixes for people that basically everyone should kind of keep in their mind is to actually use antivirus software. Don't use the same password. Don't use a very weak password. Don't trust email. If it's a national security thing against the United States, Gmail will get subpoenaed every once in a while, or they'll receive a national security letter, which is it's a subpoena that's secret. They can't even tell you that the government has requested your information. A national security letter is the reason why LavaBit and I forgot what the email provider that Silent Circle provides, but it's caused 2 email providers to shut down because they've received these notices that are secret subpoenas where the government can access those email records. So I would say if you have a work email server that's hosted within your company, you should use that as much as possible between you and other people at work. So at least it does not leave your network. It doesn't go to Gmail because Gmail stores everything even if you delete those emails. Try not to use Google Chat or Skype for the same reason. So if you're interested in learning some software, I'm doing some workshops later, not at this event, but if you email me or Twitter me, I can help you out with some of this. So you could Google some of these things. I mean, there's PGP encryption for email, which is kind of the gold standard for email encryption. Enigmail is a pretty easy to use plugin for Thunderbird. There's GPG tools, which plugs into the Mail app for Mac. OTR encryption works with instant messaging clients, so you could do OTR encryption over Google Chat, but Google will still know that you are still talking to these people, so it's kind of not recommended. CryptoCat is kind of my favorite tool right now because it's very easy to use. You open up this, plug it in your browser. It gives you type in the room you want to join and then a username, and then it just handles all the encryption for you between you and whoever else you want to invite into that room. And you may have heard of Tor, which is the anonymous web browsing network software. And so there's web browsers that integrate with Tor. People are kind of currently working on replacements for Skype. ZRTP encryption is it's a protocol for encrypting voice chats and video chats. The Guardian project, and I think Tor might be involved a little bit. They have this provider called Austel. If you go to their website, it'll show you how to sign up and how to get it's a VoIP telephone app on your phone, on your computer, and it kind of replaces Skype. The software is not that great on iOS just yet, but I know that they are working on a free version of that software. And there's disk encryption, which now comes with basically every major software distribution. So if you're going through a border checkpoint, you could be I encrypt my hard drive because I'm afraid of somebody steals my laptop. Actually, the border checkpoint thing's probably not a good example because they'd probably force you to unlock it. But if your laptop gets stolen, if you have lots of work documents on it, you don't want just being out there if you're dealing with a corporate espionage case. Encrypting your laptop is a good place to start to, sort of keep that locked down. At ProPublica, we have used CryptoCat, and we have our own internal instant messaging server. So we use Pigeon and Adium, and nothing leaves our network. You have to either use the VPN to get into our network to chat, and we have a version of CryptoCat that runs on that internal network. And over the next few weeks, I'm kind of working on cleaning up these tools and making it accessible for other newsrooms to be able to do that kind of thing themselves and have their own internal way of communicating with one another without having to rely on an external service like Google or Skype, because we still kind of use Skype a lot within ProPublica, and we're trying to kind of wean ourselves off by building tools that make it very easy for non-technical people to get secure software and secure communications. I'm also going to be teaching a course for journalism, which is it's like a kind of a series of online courses taught basically for working journalists or for journalism students, people who might not have a very technical background. And so I'll be teaching a course on cybersecurity, online privacy, and it will have an ebook, and it will have course material and code examples and screencasts. And you could be a complete beginner, and as long as you're kind of willing to try out the software, I will walk you through kind of how to do all of these things like encrypt your email and whatnot. So I'm Mike Tigas. Thank you.